Child identity theft. In 2014, report had a 35% increase. And the biggest target area are these kids that are under 5. In fact, they are 5 times the financial risk over an adult. They have considered it to be the newest form. Okay, I'm going to do this page over again. Child identity theft. In 2014 report had a 35% increase in this category alone of just financial in the child identity theft. Now let's start over again. In fact, you know what? I think I'm going to, let me edit this, and I'm going to put this to show up as for it to come in. Entrance up here. And move it up to here. And then I'll get this one and get rid of that because it had too much of a delay. Stuff out here. So as it says, we'll hurry and go. Get as far as we can. This is going off of a 2 ladder portion. Oh, come on. You think it's taking long enough to save? So it gets done saving, I can start slideshow again. There we go. Okay. You show. Child identity theft. The 2014 reports indicated that I had a 35% increase. The biggest target area are the kids under 5. So identity theft, as you can tell, doesn't matter if it's young or even the unborn. Okay, I need to put that as a separate thing too. Let me bring this in on a separate deal because that will go into the next category. There we go. Okay. Save that. Let's see how that works. I don't know if it's going to. Come on, jeez. Okay, the whole thing is going to be coming up. That's all right. We'll do it that way. All right, let's do this again. The biggest target areas are kids under 5. In fact, they have indicated a 5 times the risk of over an adult. It is considered to be the newest form of child abuse because once it happens, it can last with them for a lifetime. The child identity, according to the increase overall. So as you can tell, this affects the young, and you'll soon see even the unborn. Let's take a look at this report, and you'll know exactly what I mean. It's being referred to as the baby identity theft, all because it's a predictable number that allows the theft before birth. Let's check it out. But here's another example of a young lady. She had been a victim of identity theft, and she found out 10 years after the fact. Let's hear what she has to say in their news report. In this particular case of child identity theft, Madison's Social Security number was being held by two others in addition to herself, and she was being responsible for their taxes. Let's take a look at their report. Identity theft is also affecting the old, because take a look at this report here that is being focused on the disabled and the elderly. Take a look at this. Okay. Identity theft is not biased. As you can tell, it doesn't matter if they're young or even unborn, or even if they're old. In this case, we have a report that's being targeted towards the disabled and the elderly. They are a very vulnerable part of our society. Retake. So far, you've seen how identity theft not only affects the children and the unborn, but it's also affecting the old. The disabled and elderly are a very, very fragile target that is, okay, what's the word I'm trying to find? Okay. So now that you've seen that identity theft not only affects the young and the unborn, it's also going all the way to the old, the disabled and the elderly. Take a look at this report and see how things are being affected in that area. Also, a lot of people think, oh, you know, I've taken care of this account and that account because my husband passed away, or my dad, or whoever the case may be that you might be an executor of. Well, in this case, we actually had a 78-year-old Air Force veteran. His name was Richard Palmer. He passed away. All the accounts have been closed to the best of the knowledge of the family members, right? They were in charge of it. Then they discovered that the checking account reopened itself. How did that happen? Well, this is a fairly common thing in a lot of different banks, so you have to really watch and pay attention. They're referring to these accounts as, okay, retake. So now, as a recap, we know that identity theft is taking advantage of the young, the unborn, the old, disabled, elderly, everything in between, but they're also affecting the dead. In this particular case, some banks have the right to reopen closed accounts under certain circumstances, such as an incoming ARCH or automated clearinghouse payment. We also have situations where identity thefts or thieves, where identity thieves, we also have situations where identity thieves count on family members to overlook the financials of a loved one. It can present a ripe opportunity for criminals to profit from the bereaved. This is referred to as a zombie account. See, identity theft, okay, now let's go back up. In this particular article that I had clipped in here, checking accounts that rise from the dead, you have several different banks that, if you don't pay close attention to their policy, this can actually happen. Okay, retake again. So there you have it, folks. You have identity theft is affecting the young, the unborn, the old, the elderly, the disabled, everything in between, but now they're also affecting the dead. How does that happen? Well, in some cases, you might have done all your due diligence of shutting down the accounts of maybe your spouse or a family member, somebody that you might be in charge of taking care of their estate. But you need to follow up on it and see if they had any particular auto drafts being taken care of. Because some banks, in this case of this article, it was America First Bank. And there are several others. They have actually recently changed their policy just because it had so many people. Okay, start over. Gosh. So there you have it. Identity theft is not a, there you have it. So not only is identity theft affecting the young, the unborn, the old, the elderly, the disabled, and everything in between, but it even reaches out beyond into the dead. How is that possible? Well, frequently you have banks that have the right to reopen closed accounts under certain circumstances, such as an incoming ARCH or automated clearinghouse payment. And you have identity thieves who count on family members to overlook the financial of a loved one. It can present a ripe opportunity for the criminals to profit from the bereaved. So even if they have closed the account, and this was, in this particular case, it was dealing with America First, but, and they had just recently, this last year, had changed their policy. But there are several other banks out there that still hold this policy in place, that if there is an incoming ARCH payment, it can actually be reopened. And the family members in charge of that are still held accountable for paying any overdrafts, any bills that were actually paid, things of that nature. So pay close attention. Once you close an account for somebody, make sure that you've followed up on it to see that it's completely dead. Because these accounts, they're being referred to as a zombie account. Okay? Identity theft affects, as you can tell, financial, medical, which is life-threatening. Other insurances is overlapping into your car insurance, your renter's insurance, your life insurance, things of that nature, medical insurance, of course, your driver's license, criminal, taxes. Identity theft, it doesn't care if you are either young, old, or even dead. Now you know, okay? Okay, actually. I'll do this one slide over again on the zombie accounts, and we'll call it good for this section. Because I have to shut it down because of the library's closing. Checking accounts from the dead. I bet you didn't think that identity theft could reach so far, right? Well, in this particular article, checking accounts rise from the dead, it actually came from America's First Credit Union. Nope. Redo. Checking accounts rise from the dead. And you're going, yeah, right. How can that happen? Well, in this particular case, we had a 78-year-old Air Force veteran. His name was Richard Palmer, and he passed away. His family did their due diligence of closing down the accounts, making sure everything been paid off, correct? However, unbeknownst to them, identity thieves, however, identity thieves count on family members to overlook the financials of a loved one. It can present a ripe opportunity for criminals to profit from the bereaved. In some cases, banks have the right to reopen closed accounts under certain circumstances, such as an incoming ARCH support or such as an incoming ARCH or automated clearinghouse payment. It makes those family members that are responsible to pay off the bills to get everything wrapped up. And if they don't follow through, even after they've closed it, at least check for another month or two. I would recommend at least 45 days later to check and make sure it's still closed, because anything that comes in, they can and will be charged. The overdraft fees, the cost of the payment that went out, etc. So make sure you do your due diligence in doing the follow-up and not just the initial shutdown. Because these checking accounts from the dead, they are being considered zombie accounts. Identity theft, now you know, affects your financial, medical, which is life-threatening, other insurances, such as your car insurance, your renter's insurance, your life insurance, driver's license, criminal, taxes. Identity theft, it doesn't even care if you are young, old, or even dead. So now you know, you're getting a better clear. Okay, now we got to wrap it up. Come on. Okay. Stop broadcast or stop screen share. And stop broadcast. And stop broadcast.